deeper into the concepts and calculations of the chief Jegna of Anu Nation, Heru Yuya Asan Anu, through the decoding and exploration of sound, symbol, ancient and contemporary texts, and various other tools used to invoke a state of highest awareness, we are able to abandon the constrictions of dead thought to travel to higher states of awareness, which is our rightful designation. To view our list of webinars, go to saduluhouse.com/events. Topics for 2016 include meditation, spiritual cleansing, astral projection, chakras, crystals, water magic, candle magic, the third eye, animal totems, dreams, and sex magic. Remember, go to saduluhouse.com/events to register. I chose this topic of beauty standards because recently, like I said on the call yesterday, we kind of talked about it a little bit. And I saw this picture again of Lil' Kim and Kim Kardashian. And in this picture, Lil' Kim is like completely distorted. She looks completely different from her earlier days of when she first started rapping. And she has like this blonde wig. She looks almost white. She has, her figure is completely distorted where she has this teeny tiny waist, huge butt, huge breast. And again, it just made me think of an interview I saw once with Credo Mutwa, where he was saying that in previous decades, the standard of beauty always was to emulate the gods. And so back then, in earlier times, you saw that like Egyptians would wear these kind of oblong headdresses. The priestly caste will wear these oblong headdresses. And so you saw other cultures such as Catholics and things like, and priests that will wear similar like kind of fish head or these kind of cone-like headdresses. And even the women would kind of start to do the same thing. They, weren't satisfied with straight, limp hair, so they started to tease their hair or wear these huge wigs and what they call like a bustle, which was this piece of, this type of garment that would make it look like they had a behind. And also they would, wear these tiny, tiny corsets to kind of push their breasts up. And so back then the standard was to look more melanated. And so throughout the years, I started to see this pattern kind of change into, back in the, 20s, you had like the flapper look where women would kind of bind their breasts and wear really straight clothing, so to kind of disguise any type of curves they had. So they started to look very square. And throughout the years, I've seen it kind of transition a little bit. You had a period where, being voluptuous was in, but then it would shift back to kind of this boyish figure where you look like a prepubescent boy. And so now, even when you turn on television, like if you're into like high fashion or things like this, the look is to be very thin and gaunt looking, no curves, to be very tall and thin and lanky. And so I'm wondering now, like, what is the standard of beauty? What gods are we trying to emulate? Because it seems as if we are trying to distort ourselves and get as far away as looking melanated or African as possible. Another thing that I noticed is that, like with this little Kim thing, she was in a picture with Kim Kardashian, which is interesting because Kim Kardashian actually, is like the standard now to kind of look, racially ambiguous, but still have like a huge behind, teeny tiny waist, big breast. And even, women are starting to wear, wigs and weaves like all the time now. And the latest thing, in makeup and stuff is like contouring, where you put on tons and tons of makeup. It's almost, like you're painting or something to kind of distort yourself as much as possible. And I've seen like YouTube videos of women doing this where they start off looking one way and then they completely, transform after going through, painting on eyebrows and, changing the color of their face and, all this kind of stuff. So if we are emulating the gods, is this saying that we have kind of moved away from African-looking gods and we are now emulating something else? And if so, what is it? Because, kind of this new shape of, waist trainers and all this plastic surgery almost has us looking like kind of like cartoon superheroes. And I've seen like many pictures of women who kind of do this kind of thing to themselves. And so I wonder, like, has the standard changed? What is the standard now? And who are we, I guess, trying to gain acceptance from? Because sometimes I've talked to, men about this look, and a lot of men seem to say that, like, this is not necessarily something that they like. I've heard different interviews of different rappers who kind of make fun of Nicki Minaj and all of these people, but yet this is the image that is kind of put before us in magazines, social media, TV. Everyone kind of looks like this. So it's either, to look completely plastic and completely fake, or either just kind of looking like a young boy. So how does this kind of affect our culture or our psyche, when it comes to spirituality or religion? How does it kind of shape your world? Are you someone who agrees with this type of look, or do you disagree with it, or how do you feel about it? And I'd like to, if there are any men on the call, I'd like to kind of hear what the men have to say about this, because usually, it kind of goes where, women are most likely trying to get attention from men, or trying to please, trying to go with the look that most men admire. So I'm not sure. Like I said, I've heard men say that this is not really attractive. But then again, like I said, this is what you see, men kind of gravitate towards in videos, social media, all these things, is to just kind of look, like I said, racially ambiguous. You don't really know if they're white or if they're black. You don't know, if it doesn't matter if it's, plastic or real. Does it matter? So again, if you're on the call, and again, like I said, I like to hear from everybody. I'd also like to hear from the men to see if they have the same problem. I'm not sure if men have the same type of thing, body standard as women do. Like, is there a particular look that men are trying to achieve? And is it as in your face as it is with women? So I'm going to go to a call right now, 347. Peace, you're on Community Radio.
Peace, Sister Kim. It's Michelle.
Peace.
How are you?
How are you? I'm great.
I'm doing really well. Being Mercury retrograde and everything, I'm doing fine. I really like the topic, but I don't know what I can contribute to the topic, but what I can, share is my own experience.
Mm-hmm.
As, I'm a 33-year-old female woman, but I was a female in this society for a long time. And I went through the pressures, and I'm really happy that I wasn't growing up as a teenager in this particular time, because the makeup thing is just insane. I mean, I think I would have to get up like 3 hours earlier to be able to put all that stuff before going to work or anything. But,
right.
I felt the social pressures. I used to do makeup a lot in college and high school. You're trying to fit in. But the thing that I discovered during that time is that I realized that the people that I was trying to fit in were disgusting. Like, every time I put on tight pants and tight shirts and I got done up, I was attracting disgusting attention from men, and really disgusting attention from women. Because I could say that 80% of the time, we do ourselves up so other women can see us. You know, so it's like a competition between ourselves. Because men don't care. They don't. They don't care about the hair. They don't care about the perfect eyebrows. You know, men, when it comes to women, I believe that they're more guided towards, you know, our reproductive, sexual, you know, boobs and butt. But besides that, I've heard it a norm in my life that men prefer women without makeup. And I do too. You know, after a couple of years, and now with Alice, have her being a woman in my next in line, my generation, I have decided not to go with makeup anymore. I don't want to do makeup because I want to show my daughter that I am confident in my own skin, that I don't need to put on a face for anybody, that I am true to myself, and that I love myself for who I am. And I think internal beauty is a lot harder to achieve than external beauty because, you know, I got a couple of pimples on my face because I was eating wrong last night. So, but that's a quick fix. I can just go to CVS, buy some foundation, and cover it up and call it a deal. But it's a lot harder to stop eating the cheese and to stop eating the fats. You know, and then, but it's hard because my generation, I know when I talk to my friends and, you know, I tell them about, you know, not wearing makeup anymore, that they're beautiful just the way they are. They always talk about these social pressures that they can't bear to show their own face in society. And I think that says a lot, you know, that they can't show who they are to people because they don't even know who, or they either don't know who they are or they don't like who they are. So that's not what I want to raise in my homestead.
Yeah.
So, but it's been tough. You know, I see how people look at me with my eyebrows, you know, all natural, and like if I have a pimple, hey, I have a pimple. I don't really, you know, but people will judge. But you have to, you know, I guess be centered in your own space. And it also helps that I have a loving husband and a loving family. So, you know, there's a lot of factors when it comes to these standards. But, you know, I think this is what they're doing to poor little Kim. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I can't.
How did trying to, I guess, follow these trends kind of affect your self-esteem? And, like, when did you realize that, okay, this is not working for me, it's not, you know, this isn't me and I can't keep doing this? Like, what was that turning point, and how did, you know, trying to achieve those standards, how did it affect your self-esteem?
It showed, well, I got to a low point first, and then I like slowly stepped back up. There were times when, you know, I would have to wake up to go to work crazy hours in the night, and I couldn't go out without some eyeliner on. And those were just the red flags that would set off for myself. So I was like, wow, I can't bear to show the world my face. And also just doing it over and over and really being disgusted with what I was doing was what woke me up. You know, wearing tight jeans was such a horrible experience for me as a woman because of the harassment. You know, I am a curvy gal, and I always had trouble with weight. You know, I never really fit the standard. You gotta be a size 2. So, you know, putting on tight jeans for my body is a horrible idea because I just attract more unnecessary attention. And it was a lesson in like male patriarchy and like the gross side of it. And when you finally say no, is when I finally said no, this has to stop, was more when I became an adult, when I found a stable partner who bolstered my confidence. Who told me, no, you don't need to wear this. You don't need to do all this other types of stuff for you to be beautiful. You're beautiful just the way you are. And it was years. It took me years to finally accept myself and to love myself. And I'm going to say it again, one of the biggest helpers in this evolution was my own daughter. Because once I confronted myself in her, I was like, I can't keep doing this because of her, because she's going to see me doing this. So is this something about me that I like? You know, so it's that perpetual question that children make you answer. They put a mirror in front of you and they say, do you like who you see? Because if not, I'm going to be just like you. So you have to decide, are you going to keep doing this or are you going to change? And she was my main motivator as a woman, as a future woman. And, yeah.
Okay. I see there's someone. I'm going to leave you on. If you want to chime in, that's fine. I'm not going to mute your mic. So if you want to press mute and just come back in whenever you like, that'll totally fine. So I'm going to go to 813. Thanks for your comment. 813, you're on Community Radio.
Greetings, ladies. How you doing?
Greetings. Peace.
I like my women all shades of brown, earthly, no makeup, covered with shea butter with a hint of slightly engendered. Okay?
Okay.
That's how I like my women. So I think a lot of women would really have a lot more self-esteem and higher standards for themselves if they actually learn that what they're looking for is in the mirror, not inside of a magazine, not inside of a TV show, not how an artist projects themselves, but what they're looking for in beauty is already there. So, for me, I've dated women that wore weaves and wore makeup, and I dated a girl that didn't do nothing but lip gloss and shea butter. So I've had that experiences dealing with women on my end with all these little things, and I just find women are more at peace when they don't have to worry about having their hair done every weekend, or going to go get their nails done every other day, or going to put on a ton of makeup just so they can go out and go exercise. And I find it very liberating. The relationship I had where she wore very little decoration on her face, on her body, she was more liberated than most women I've ever met. You know, and I think for me as a man, I don't like none of that anyway. I really can't. If I can't go swimming with you because you just got your hair done, you just got a weave or you got your hair permed, I can't do it because I like the water and I like to go swimming. I like to go hiking. I like to go outside. I like to do a lot of things, active things, and having that being a block for you to experience life in another fashion or another greater version, I think that's another block. But me personally, I just don't. I can't see myself with a woman that's wearing weave, makeup, and even cologne. Believe it or not, even the designer cologne that we buy, I don't even like that stuff. I like oils. Me personally, and it's maybe because of my own indigenous nature, my indigenous mind. But at the same time, I don't look at even nowadays. If I ever go out, even the women that are over here looking like what you say, Jessica Rabbit. I don't want to knock nobody, but I can't even really carry on a big conversation with them because I'm looking at eyebrows slapping their nose and blonde hair weave, and now they're even doing it gray, like storm gray, and it's like a clown to me. I can't take you seriously personally as a man to have a conversation with you, have a male and female conversation with you. So
wow.
Me first, but that's me. I'm very selective when it comes down to stuff like that. I'm not out in the club like every other some of us guys out there on a hunt.
Wow. Okay. So there's the male perspective, one male perspective on this look, and it's interesting because, like I said, even though men say that this is not what they want, this is what's put in front of women to look like. And so, like I said, I'm just wondering where this influence is coming from and what God are we emulating if beauty standards are to reflect a God. I'm going to go to 323. Had their hand up. Amwa, if you'd like to chime in, just chime in whenever. I'm not going to mute your mic. 323, you're on Community Radio.
Hi. Hello?
Peace. Greetings.
Hey. Hi, Kim. I have, how do I say this? I've been skinny and I've been, voluptuous, we'll say.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was thin, they thought I was a model. The white community, they loved me. And and then in the black community, this was in the 90s. The black community was like, oh no, she needs to put some weight on. You need to put some. We need to feed you. And then so as I started developing more, and I got more attention from men, black men, than I did, the white community. And so it shifted. I think what's happening is if we're looking at magazines and all this other stuff, like you said earlier, they want this boyish look. I personally, I'm 46. I don't want to compete with my 12-year-old self.
Okay.
And, I'm sorry, I think someone's coming to my door.
Okay.
I don't want to compete with my 12-year-old self. I want to be, me, 46. I want to compete with my 46-year-old self. And which is voluptuous. It's not, I have both. I have a chest. I have a behind. I have it all, and I'm happy with it.
Mm-hmm.
I've gone natural. I have to say that even though I've gone natural in my hair, I've gotten rid of the chemicals out my hair. My hair has grown. It's healthier, and I don't think, because we're being sold this bill of goods that this is the standard, that you're not realizing that you're killing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That most women that wear weaves and perm, any kind of chemicals in their hair, that they're actually killing themselves, and they don't see it. They don't see that they're thinning out their hair even more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But you know what? Even as you speak, like you and Michelle, I noticed that most of us that have kind of accepted ourselves and who love ourselves now, we are past that age. We may be 30 plus now. Like we had to come into, adulthood to finally accept that, okay, I can't look like that. It's not cool. But we have a lot of young women who are still kind of going through that phase of trying to follow a trend. And so, how do we counterbalance that? Because like I said, most people are affected by media. And so when you see this again, especially with younger women versus older women, you see like a lot of older women who are trying to look this way again to seek out attention, which is what, younger women are also trying to do. So how do you talk to, or how do you get to younger women and tell them, like, this is not the way to look, this is not cool, when they're getting all of this attention for looking that way?
I think you have to get them when they're younger. When they're, my daughter's 13, and she loves her hair in its natural state. And why do you think that is? Well, first of all, she doesn't. She's never been. I'm not one to. I didn't know how to press hair, so I wasn't one to press her hair when she was younger. I would send her to the beauty salon, but it wasn't something that was done every day. And when she was younger, I never told her her hair was ugly. I never told her hair was nappy. I didn't even use that word. That word didn't come out until later on, when other people were using it, like, nappy is happy and all this other stuff. But those are things that I because of the standard of good hair, bad hair issue, my mother always said there's no such thing as good hair. And so with that, I've always told my daughter, I never made it a big deal about her hair. So she likes that. Now, she's naturally thin, but she hasn't gotten her full womanly shape, Okay. So, and I tell her, hey, I was your size too. She's a size what everyone's trying to be, a size 0. I was that way. Your grandmother was that way on both sides, So it's okay that you are who you are. You have to start when they're little. And right now, the young ladies that are out there, the more you embrace who you are, I think, and they see that, the more they would ease into that, that way, lean towards that way.
Okay.
And it has to be by example. And even though they maybe will say lost for now, doesn't mean that they're going to be lost forever.
Okay. Thank you for your comment. I'm going to come back to you. I'm trying to get to some more people that have their hand up. So if you can, just mute your mic and just come in whenever you would like to respond. 864, you're on Community Radio. Greetings.
Greetings, Sister Kim. How are you doing today?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm just going to really express my experiences with image and beauty. And for me, I have to come from the space of being a twin because that's pretty much been the theme of my life. Somewhere I think it takes a twin to really maybe understand, but maybe not. I don't know. But one thing that I always experience around beauty is, when you're a twin and you look a lot alike, people always compare and contrast. And so between my sister and I, she was a pretty twin, and I wasn't. So I never really saw myself as attractive. And then I went to college, and we separated. And in the meantime, when we not seeing myself as attractive, beauty didn't really mean a lot to me because I lived in her shadow. So, she would wear the eyeliner and lip liner, and I look at old pictures of us, and I kind of look like a tomboy. And so we got to college, and life made us separate. And it was in our separation that I kind of found my identity as Carissa, and I learned that I was attractive. And so from there, being around everybody and everybody's dressing up and stuff, I started dressing, started changing the way I dressed and caring more about my appearance. And then I started feeling like, oh, man, I'm getting too much attention, which is something that I kind of shy away from because as a twin, you're always getting attention because people are always, oh, my God, amazed. I can't believe, So I kind of scaled back and I went natural, and I just started, embracing myself just natural. I mean, like maybe too far natural where, I didn't worry about shaving so much because I just didn't like all the attention that came along with it. So it's like now I'm in my adult life, and I'm still trying to find my balance with beauty. It's like I'm still trying to internalize exactly what is beauty to me. Find that balance between, grooming, how much to groom, how much not to groom, just really just trying to define what beauty is. So it's a subject I'm glad that y'all, are talking about it, and I'm just, trying to figure it out. Now it's not even just me. It's what is beauty to me, what is beauty to my husband, So it's a struggle. I'm glad that you're bringing it up.
Yeah. So how did that kind of affect, and still, how does that affect your self-esteem? Like you said, you're kind of torn between these two worlds of trying to, just be natural or trying to, understand what your husband think is beautiful. Like, how do you balance it, and how does it affect your self-esteem?
Well, I guess I try to find things that we both have in common on, what I should look like. And for the most part, I can say it's not like we're on opposite ends of the spectrum on the situation, but, my husband, I'm natural, and he says that he's okay with my afro, but sometimes I'm finding him sending me different hairstyles with, all the weaves. And I'm not, I don't mind the braids, but, some braids I just can't do. Like braids for my scalp, they're literally going to take my hair out the root, so it's just a struggle because as far as my self-esteem is like what I see in the mirror versus what you want me to be, just trying to find that balance. I like to think, I feel like if I was in just who I feel like I could be a bush woman, just in the woods sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But, that's not exactly socially acceptable. So, that's a good question. It's more for me to ponder on, what does that mean about my self-esteem?
Yeah.
Like, I'm, just trying to get in that place where I'm fine with who I am, but, I don't know. I have to find that common ground.
Yeah.
There's things that I'm just not that great at as far as, what you think my, as far as body, like you don't want to see any hair on the arms, things like that. But it don't really bother me to have a little bit under my arms. I don't want like a, long hair growing underneath there, but just a little bit doesn't bother me.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, it's something for me to ponder on. I thank you for giving me something to think deeper about.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's like you're kind of torn between like who to please. Who do I please? Do I please? Does it just only matter to like my mate, or when I'm not around my mate? Like what does he find attractive? Is it is he just saying that to me because sometimes you see that men like other things that are maybe completely opposite of you. And so you're still kind of torn between, should I just be myself? Should I please, the society? How should I look? And it just kind of keeps you in this state of limbo where, you really just aren't very sure of yourself maybe. I'm going to go to another caller. I think this is a man, so I'd love to hear what he has to say about the subject. 615, you're on Community Radio.
Greetings, Sister Kim.
Greetings. How are you?
I'm all right. Well, I was listening at the show, and you're doing a great job. I think this is something that we're gonna have to tackle if we're gonna, come together as a unit. But as far as like, I remember you had said earlier in the show, you was asking what's the root of this, all this plastic fake stuff, and I think I don't even think it's about beauty anymore. I think it's more of a status symbol because this makeup and weave and stuff is like stupid expensive. So like when women wear it, it's a symbol of I got money and I can afford to look like this every day. Like that MAC makeup and stuff is really expensive, and they take a lot of pride in that. So it's more, I don't really think they're doing it for men to attract them. They doing it more so to let them know that I got money and I don't need you to get nothing from me because I get my own $400, $500 makeup and $600 wigs and $1,000 weaves and stuff. I think it's a status symbol. And as far as the men are conditioned from young children to view a certain beauty standard as a standard. Because I was telling I was talking to one of my friends and she was like, why are so many black men, athletes especially attracted to white women? I was like, well, just go to Walmart and listen at the voice of the toys, of the children's toys. It's all white female voices. So when you watch stuff like Snow White, like Cinderella, like Frozen, and it shows these Europeanoid-looking individuals as beauty symbols, that's what they're gonna relate to as beauty. And then when you turn on the TV and you see Real Housewives of Atlanta, the music videos and stuff, that's when you see that females that look like that are females with money. And if you got money, you got to have a female that look like that. So I think a lot of this is like these beauty supply manufacturers, these, you know, they find a new way to make money off of black women because so many sisters are going natural and, you know, getting away from the perms. Like, okay, they're getting rid of the perms. Let's find another way we can get them. Let's get them with the fake lashes. Let's get them with the fake eyebrows. Let's get them with the fake, you know, booties and stuff. Let's sell them everything they need to feel pretty because somebody's not letting them know that. But I think it's beyond with black people. It's deeper psychological when as far as a status symbol than it is actually how do it look. Because like you said, brothers really ain't really vibing with that because you meet a female like that, she got all that makeup on, you take her home, she wake up, you're like, who is that? Who are you? You know, what you do with the other chick? So I really think this has become a status symbol on both ends as far as like the standard of beauty. I don't think it had nothing to do with beauty anymore. It's just who got what, who can afford to look like what, who can afford to look like who.
That's interesting because, even in trying to secure, resources, we always hear that, you got to spend money to get money. Or for women, it may also be a source of trying to secure resources. So I need to look this way to attract a mate that can afford to keep me looking this way, or, so that I can be financially stable as well. So we've got, on one hand, it's a self-esteem issue, and then, but even deeper than that, it could be a source of trying to look the best, since men are visual, look the best for, the best man, I don't know. Do the women that are on the call, do you find that trying to make yourself look this way is a way to secure resources, or to secure someone who has, the financial ability to kind of keep that up, or to attract a man that has that type of money? Because like you say, the men that we see that have, that has this type of money, or that are, that are wealthy, they usually choose a woman that looks this way. So I think that's kind of thrown in too. I don't know, the women that are on the call, what do you think?
I can say for myself, and I can say for the women, other women that I know that are into the like long straight hair weave. I know women who will spend $100, more than that, on some hair weave, but can't even pay their rent. And so they go and they do try to look nice and catch them in so that men can pay the things that they're not paying. And like I would hear certain dudes that like for instance, my husband, I had a friend that was like that. She still lives with her mother because of her trying to keep up her looks, and he would say, okay, she looks nice, but she looks like she's high maintenance. So, she will be expensive. Okay, so me, I've never really been that type of female because, like I said earlier, I struggle with, beauty, not really worrying about it too much. So for me, personally, I can't say I've ever connected up with it because never, like, even when me and my husband was dating, I'm more of a giver. Like, I have to learn to receive. So for me, it's like, if I'm not looking for a man to just do and do and do for me. I had to learn to allow that. And, like we would go on a date. Okay, you pay this time, I'll pay next time. For me, I can't say that beauty has impacted me in a way where I'm looking for somebody to keep me secure or give me resources because, I don't know, I just never experienced that. But I have a different issue with beauty, so I guess that's my take if I answer the question in the way that you were looking for.
Okay. Yeah, that's, again, that's interesting because, like you said, there are some women who can't even, pay their rent to kind of keep this upkeep. I remember this movie, I don't know if you watched Just Bright with Common and Queen Latifah, and that's kind of what the movie centered around. You have this, superstar athlete, and Queen Latifah kind of played the ugly duckling, but she was she was cool. she would go on these dates and, the guys would say, yeah, I had a really great time with you and everything, but we could just, you can call me and we can hang out. You're like a guy to me, almost like you're my homeboy, and so her cousin was that type. They both still lived at home, but her cousin was the type to, get all glammed up and go to these basketball games and sit in the section where, all the groupies kind of hung out, trying to attract this. And that was the woman that he ended up marrying. Of course, it kind of has a, fairy tale type ending where, eventually that didn't win out. But initially, that's what he was, more attracted to. And that's what he, chose to marry. So, again, it's this thing where women are kind of, distorting themselves to find that person that, can kind of provide a lifestyle for them that they probably wouldn't necessarily get if they were just average. Again, I don't know, men, chime in if you have a comment. And then I also would like to know. Sure.
I got a question.
Mm-hmm.
How many women on the line, how many women actually preparing themselves for the workplace? Like, they're going to go get all these extensions, makeup, and everything just to get that good job or adapt to, let's say, that corporate plantation, as we call it. Is that another factor also?
That's a good question. That's a really good question. I think. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I would think so. I am in the process of, I was in the process of looking for a job, and it wasn't, in my mind, my hair wasn't an issue, but maybe in other people's mind it is an issue. I choose not to look at it that way, but I also decided that I have to be free. I can't work. I don't like working up under people like that. So I have to create my own job, my own career, my own whatever, income. So I can be free to, come and go. So I don't conform to that. I didn't know that, they weren't checking for me. I didn't know that I might be passé.
Okay. Well, again, that goes back, when I hear that question, it goes back to the whole age thing, because looking at someone who's coming out of college or coming out of high school trying to get into the corporate world, there are, classes and, orientations and things that kind of tell you to look a certain way when you go into an interview, or to sound a certain way when you go into an interview. I remember once when I was interviewing for a certain position, my mother, she was like, you can't go into this job interview with your hair looking like that. At the time I was natural, and I'm still natural, but at the time, I had like a short natural, and she was, encouraging me, like, you need to wear a wig, you need to do this. And even when I go to universities or and see women there, I see that they are encouraged to, like they say, you have a phone voice and then your real voice, to encourage you to sound a certain way, to encourage you to look a certain way. So again, it goes kind of back to resources. Is this what we have to do to secure resources? Because I find that only when we become adults and we've gone through it, that's the time when we start to become comfortable with ourselves and we realize, this isn't working. But for that young girl who's trying to get the job, trying to find a husband or trying to find a mate, like that's not really something that she can almost agree with or accept, because that's not what is getting the bills paid, so to speak.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
I can say that too. Like on my first real hard, like my real first job out of college, I remember going on my interview, and my hair was natural, but I made sure that my curl pattern was as defined as it could possibly be. I had on, eyeliner, a little bit of, and I don't wear mess. The most you're gonna see me do is maybe some lipstick and some eyeliner. But I had eyeshadow on. I had on my blue suit. They say wear blue, black, or gray. I had on my blue suit, and went through the interview. Got the job, and then to sell my job, I met the CEO. And here in the South, there's some habit. Like it's a habit. It's hard to get rid of it, but I actually try to. Is yes, ma'am, no, sir. So the CEO said something to me, and I said yes, sir. And he said to me, yes, sir. I like that. And so then I also have a black-white complex down here, too. So, in my mind, I was thinking, those white men, you'll never hear that again. I was thinking, you'll never hear that shit again. That's what I was thinking. Mm-hmm. So I promised myself that I would never say sir. I would never call him by his last name. I always call him by his first name. And it was like that was a changing moment for me. I decided that, you know what, I'm going to dress how I want to dress. I'm going to look how I want to look. And I think I ended up being more respected for it because I had the receptionist one day. She was like, Carissa, you just seem like a person who don't care if people like you or not. And she was like, saying that she liked the way I dressed. And from that day on, I decided that, no matter where I go as far as employment, I'm going to do me. I'm going to be me. And if it's for me, it's for me. If it's against me, then, if they're not accepting me, then it means this job isn't for me. I can do that in the professional world, but it's my personal where I still struggle. But professionally, I can give a fuck. Ooh, excuse me. I really don't care. I'm gonna do me. You like it, you take me. If you don't, then it means it's for me.
Yeah.
But that's just pretty much where I was.
Well, for the men who are on the call, is there a certain look that is required for men as well? It seems like, the older, men aren't affected by age or body type. It's like, as men get older, they look more distinguished. Women get older, we're not the standard anymore. So for men, is there a certain image or something that's put in front of you that, you have to look like, or that, society says that you should? Do you experience the same type of prejudice as men? As women? Okay,
I can add. I'll go into it. I just cut off my locks. I just cut off my locks July 7th. And ever since I cut off my locks, and this is coming from two perspectives here, okay? When I had my locks, I had specific type of women that would come and talk to me and have conversations with me. Very specific. Now, since I got my hair short and it's in a normal cut, I guess is what you call it, I blend into society, but I find myself getting looks from everyone. And I find people coming up to me and talking to me a little bit differently than they would if they came up to me and talked to me when I had my locks. I think when I had my locks, I had more people that would come up to me and speak in a more let's just say spirit, for lack of a better word, spiritual manner, where I have people talking to me like I'm just any person on the street now. So for me, I think since I cut my hair, I think the type of women has expanded that are comfortable with seeing a man with a short haircut or with a man, quote unquote, a man haircut, nice clean cut, you know what I'm saying? To the women that I would speak to that would always come up and have actually a real conversation of something other than what's on Empire or what football game is on. So that one thing I will tell you, I've had that issue. But I believe, like, I think the image helps too.
Excuse me. If you're not making a comment, can you please mute your phone? Okay, go ahead.
But I think image is health too. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to walk around looking unhealthy also. You know what I'm saying? So the way I would take care of myself on a daily basis or a weekly basis would be considered on how I'm taking care of myself.
Someone has a lot of background noise. So if you could just mute your mic until you're ready to come in. Okay, go ahead, Amor. I'm sorry.
And I think your image is health. So the way I take care of myself in the health, dealing with the foods I eat, or how much water I'm drinking, how I'm exercising, all these things have factors on how I'm going to look as in my avatar or my representation of my doppelganger. Mm-hmm. So my physical appearance. So like I'll be real. Like within the last couple of days, I was in a shithole. Excuse my language, but that's where I was feeling. And I didn't brush my hair, didn't do nothing, didn't shave, didn't do nothing. And it wasn't until this morning that I got up and shaved, got myself clean, and now I went to go work out this morning, and now I'm feeling a lot more confident than I was in the last 2-3 days. Mm-hmm. So I believe that as a man, keeping yourself in the highest point of your energy is very important. Sometimes, and I'm not afraid to say it. I think when I first called in the first time, I told Chief, I'm not afraid to go in the womb. The womb is sometimes you just deal with that dark energy and just have to deal with the chaos for a while. And then when you get out, you know where to move and how to move. So it has to deal with a lot of the energy that you present in my haircut or my hairstyle or whatever. But I do believe that real men should be in shape. I don't think we need to be sitting around here with like beer bellies and pot bellies. I think we should be playing sports instead of watching them. Just all those little factors that go into how a man look, and that's just me. Like you're not gonna ever catch me sitting down watching a basketball game unless I'm playing in it or one of my kids is playing in it. So.
Yeah. But do you all feel the same pressures as women to have a certain body type? Like, do you feel like you should have the flat, stomach with 6-pack abs, and is it as in your face and as forceful as it is with women to look a certain way as far as your body goes?
I don't want to speak for everybody, but I don't. I like to see myself in pure health and in the healthiest manner I possibly can be in every time I look in the mirror, because I want to see the greatness in me. You know what I'm saying? That's just me. But I can't speak to everybody. For all men on that one. Some men, they spend hours in the gym just so they can have 6-pack abs. So
yeah,
I'm good with one good tight ab.
Yeah. Let me see. We have another caller on the line we're going to bring in. Let's see. This is another 615 number. Greetings, you're on Community Radio. 615. Greetings, 615. Okay, maybe they are muted. I'm going to go to another. This is a Skype caller. I think this is Brother Byron. Greetings.
Hi, peace, Sister Kim. Peace, Brother Anwar.
How are you?
Peace,
what's going on?
The line. We're good, man. Yeah, I've got the good one as well, my friend. So I'm glad to have company. Yeah, so it's been a really good topic today. So I am thinking about sisters and the beauty of sisters. I always find that beauty in sisters can vary depending on the sister's age and the sister's experiences. So quite funnily, yesterday I was at the I went to our local Jamaican community centre yesterday evening, and one of the elder sisters was serving me. And I would say that she's probably in her mid-60s, but she was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I'm saying she was beautiful, it wasn't only her manner in which she served. She was very gracious when she served, but also she dressed age appropriately. And therefore, the grandmothership that she has was evident in the way she carried herself and the way she dressed and the way she spoke. And I was thinking, when she was serving me, I was looking at her and said, yes, this lady's really graceful and really beautiful. And I was imagining how she might have looked when she was younger. And then it made me think about my wife and daughter. So my wife and daughter clearly aren't of the same age range, but they are, I would say, equally beautiful, but they dress and carry themselves differently because of the stages that they are in their life. And so, and I do understand, I mean, in my experience, younger people tend to have or put more stock into looking trendy or looking fly, or what the latest term is, or looking stush, because young people, that's one of their affiliations, is into looking good. But for me, the beauty of a woman evolves and changes over time as they go through the stage of their life. Mm-hmm. And my own intuition is that the more self-confident a woman is, she could be in greasy overalls working on a car, for example. But if she's confident and carries herself with the feminine energy that is individual to her, and she honors that and respects that in the way that she carries herself, then she could be as beautiful as the person who's on the front of a glossy magazine, simply because of the way that she's carrying herself and the confidence that she has in her own beauty. So, and as for a man, for me now, so I think as a man, I probably don't spend too much time on personal grooming. I mean, I keep myself clean and I keep my hair cut, but I'm proud that my hair is thinning. I'm proud that I've got silver hair in my beard. I don't dye it or try to hide it or not wear a beard because I've got grey hair. It's a part of who I am. It shows my level rather than I like to say level rather than age. It shows my level. And, you know, and I honor and respect, and I'm proud of the fact that I'm of my age group, of my age, and I don't try to look younger, nor would I try to look older. And in terms of keeping healthy, I agree with Brother Anwar. The lifestyle of a man, particularly the lifestyle of a man with a family, should keep him active, because he's got so many people in the family to serve and responsibilities to carry out, that just being a man in the household should keep a man in shape if he's doing what he needs to do.
Mm-hmm.
So those are just my few comments on the subject.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
But do you find that, do you think that, I guess, like you said, as your roles change, you know, now you're a family man, does that have an effect on what you deem as attractive and what's not, like, for yourself? Like, in your younger days, did you feel the pressures of trying to look a certain way or be a certain way, as opposed to now that you have secured your wife and your family? Now that you have it, like I said, again, it goes back to the kind of the age thing where, you know, where we're trying to, we look a certain way because we're trying to get something. Then once we have it, we kind of relax a little bit. So do you think that has changed you?
Yeah, when I was younger, I mean, because when I was younger, when I was a single guy, I used to do a lot of track, so I was naturally fit anyway, and I suppose doing the sports gave me a level of self-confidence in my own presentation to people, and looking good, in inverted commas, was more important to me when I was younger, or looking hip or trendy was more important to me as I got older, when I was younger. Funnily enough, when I became a married man, okay, when I was a younger man, I wouldn't say I struggled to get women, but I had to work at it. When I became a married man, when I became a married man, women were, they were seeing that ring on my finger as some form of invitation to make approaches to me, which was quite strange.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is very strange, very strange. I said, hang on a minute. I said, nobody wanted to know me when I was single. Now I'm married all of a sudden. Yeah. But maybe, that's probably more about the other person than myself. Yeah, so there was a lot in my own mind. There was a lot more investment, or I placed a lot more importance on how I looked when I was younger. But as I've got older, I found that actually that's not the most important thing. Looking after one's health is probably more important than looking after one's looks, and having a healthy lifestyle. If you have a healthy lifestyle, it can be seen in your face.
Mm-hmm.
So, if somebody's a drinker, or if they're a smoker, or if they're on the weed, I can see it in the face. I can see it in the face days after. Sometimes I've met some people. I said, "Yo," I said, "You're smoking too much weed," and they said, "I've not had any weed for 3 days." I said, "Well, it's in your face. I can see it on you." So, that's what I would say. Really, as a man, I suppose society places more pressure. Western society places more pressure on the woman to uphold and to apply a standard of beauty that Western society would set. So our sisters are under pressure to look a particular way. The trend is to have straight hair in general. Worryingly, there's an increasing trend to bleach skin, to have false nails, false eyelashes, and so forth. All those are things that society and pressures that society are placing on sisters to look a particular way because they believe it's beautiful. However, in Nigeria, it's very different. In Nigeria, for example, a woman will dress gracefully depending on her age and her status in society. So it's very different, and I find that the sisters who don't align themselves to the Western standard of beauty are those that are more self-confident, and I find them the most attractive, personally. I find them the most attractive. And a lot of my peers do similarly. So to any sisters out there that's single and are looking for a man, be your natural selves, and I'm certain that you will attract the right man, for sure.
I agree on that. One thing to add on to it, too, is that I think a lot of us fail in our relationship because we put so much time and effort in trying to make ourselves up to attract the person, and then once we finally get them and we're in the relationship, we're married, whatever, we start slacking we already have it, so we don't have to work do the same, at least the equivalent work that we captured them with. So I don't think there's a time that you should be you should always be comfortable in your relationship, but I think at the same time there's a time that you should be always aware of your health and your appearance in that relationship, because I want my woman to look as fine as she can be every day, and I'm going to tell her every day that she's fine as everything every day. It's going to be something that I would expect, she would expect to see me, and I would expect to see in her. I don't want to have to. I wouldn't want her to have to go look at anybody. I wouldn't want to have to go look for anybody and say, "Oh, that's attractive," instead of sitting there looking in my wife's eyes and saying that you're the only thing that's attractive. So I think there's a balance that happens inside of that, and that's the reason why I go away from all the made up stuff, the wigs, the hairs, the eyelashes, all that stuff. Because when you're doing that much to try to attract somebody, you're not going to attract what you're really looking for. You know what I'm saying? you're going to attract a whole bunch of mess, and you're going to continue to keep having those messy relationships. So that's how I look at it. And even with the conversation on that level is that when a woman has to go through all that process just to have a conversation, attract the male to have a conversation with, what kind of conversation are you going to have with that person? Nothing in depth.
If I could just add to what Brother Admiral was saying, I'm just recollecting my mother raised 7 boys and 2 girls. And one thing that my mother would always say to me and my brothers, particularly, when we were speaking about, we've got a girlfriend, or we're gonna try and check this girl and what have you, she'd say, are they pretty? And then we'd say, of course they're pretty. Yes, they're pretty. And then my mom would say, well, you better mind, because they could have pretty like money, but they could be full of disease. And then when my mom, as a young man, I used to think, well, what's my mom talking about there? What's you on? Pretty like money, but full of disease. But experience tells me now, I understand fully what she means. Fully what she means. Don't go for the external, because the external is temporary. It's the content of the character, it's the content of the heart and the qualities that the person has that is more important than the external appearance. So that was what my mother was trying to lay down to me, which I fully understand. Now I'm older, but I didn't understand when I was a young boy.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Just listening to the comments, everybody is saying that, it's more about the character and, more about what's on the inside. But speaking from a spiritual context, like they say, as above, so below, as within, so without. If our reality is a reflection of what we want or what we desire and what we're projecting, why is it then that these images are so prevalent in media and, in every form of media? So we're saying one thing, but we're getting something completely opposite. So what does that say about, I guess, what we're projecting spiritually? Because we're not, that's not really what's in front of us. No one, there's nothing, there are no classes, there's no, industry pushing towards developing character and developing, your self-esteem and accepting yourself and all that. It's more centered on the external. So if we are projecting what we want, then why is it that we're not seeing that?
Can we say what we're seeing is not what we are actually projecting? What we're seeing is what is being delivered to us?
Right. I mean, like they say, your mind, whatever you subconsciously are desiring or wanting, like our environment reflects what we really are or what we really want. So, everybody's saying character and personality and all this, but that's not what we see. So why is that?
Does that mean we're still part of the, we're still asleep? We're still, I don't know which one with the red pill or the blue pill. Does that mean that we're still taking the other, whichever one keeps us asleep?
I don't know. What do you all have to say about it?
I think it's because we...
Oh, I'm sorry, everyone. I'm going to bring in another caller. Some more hands are going up, and let them contribute as well. 443, you're on Community Radio. Greetings.
Greetings. How y'all doing? This is Tasha.
Hey, Tasha. How are you?
Good. I'm so late on this call. I literally just tuned in like 5 minutes ago.
Oh, okay.
Y'all know I'm at work sneaking off.
Okay. Well, we're just talking about standards of beauty.
Yeah. I'm actually in the beauty industry now, so this hits close to home for me, being in a salon and particularly seeing what women of color are going through. And so to answer your question with spirituality tied into what we're doing and how we're making ourselves up on the outside, I think that we kind of teeter on that rope because we're still in this mindset that we want to weave in with everybody else, and we don't want to offend. I can't wear my hair big and natural. I got to put this makeup on. I got to put the eyelashes and the nails on because I got to fit into that standard of beauty. In the inside, I know this, you know what I mean? This is not who I am for real. But in order to get that money, in order to get in where I fit in, I got to put this mask on. And I'm saying that because when I first got into the industry, that's what I did. And from a teenager to the time I got into the beauty industry, I didn't wear makeup. I tried. My best friend is a makeup artist. And she would, let me play with your face. Let me beat your face, girl. You know, and every time she would do it, I would feel so crazy. Like, I didn't even want to go outside with this stuff on my face because I'm like, I know people are going to look at me and be like, that's not her.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, but I was like, you know what? I'm in the industry now. I need to look the part. So I went out, I bought these lashes and, you know, all this stuff and making myself up. And, of course, the people that I work with was like, oh, my God, you're, like, so beautiful, you know. And then the inside, I'm like, I feel like I look like a clown.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Not to knock women who, you know, make themselves up. I feel like if you do it in a certain way just to enhance a little bit, a little lip gloss, a little eyeliner here, you want to paint your nails or whatever, I think that's fine, you know. But when you're at a point where you can't even go check your mail without a full face on, that's a problem. When you have to put a wig on because you don't want people to see your natural hair, or you can't wear your hair wrapped because you don't want the questions, you don't want people looking at you crazy or anything like that, that's the issue for me. And so we can't, I feel like a lot of us, especially women of color, we can't display the two at the same time. How we feel inside can't be displayed on the outside.
Yeah.
I see it every day. I see it every single day. I see it with the adult women. I see it with women of color who bring their daughters in. And it's like, okay, well, what do you want me to do to her hair? Oh, just fix it. Okay, well, there's nothing wrong with it. You probably just need to shampoo it, put some leave-in conditioner, and twist it up. Like, no, I mean, just straighten it out. I can't deal with this. You know, and it's like, no, I'm going to show you what to do, and then you're going to go home and do it. I'm not going to put all this heat on this child's head, you know. And so now that's messing with my money because now I'm losing out. They're not going to come back to me because they're going to be like, oh, she's not doing what I asked her to do. You know what I mean? So it's tough. It's tough for us out here. And then not to knock our men, but some of them make it hard too because they're looking at the quote-unquote standard of beauty in our social media and just society, this Western society as a whole. And if you're not looking like that, they're not even looking your way.
Right.
They're not even giving you a second look. And I found that out firsthand when we moved down here to Florida. And I say all the time, well, I'm glad I already have a husband because I'd be ass out down here.
Yeah.
Somebody's like, man, I walk into the room and they looking at me like, what you doing here? You know, they giving me the up and down like, ugh, where's your hair? You don't have no makeup on. You don't have the heels on. You know, I'm in there in a long sundress, my hair wrapped, and I'm looking flawless. I'm thinking, you know, skin is glistening. I'm killing them in the streets right now. You know what I'm saying? And they looking at me like, ew.
Yeah.
You know, but Becky walks along with the long hair, or Miss Video Vixen with the bubble booty and the heels on and the weave, and suddenly I don't even exist.
Yeah.
You know, so it takes a strong woman to sit on her throne and say, this is my standard of beauty, whether you like it or not, and my outside is matching my inside. Now, if you can't deal with that, then we're not supposed to be together in the first place.
Yeah, you said that you're... Sure.
You know, being in Florida, and I understand what you're saying, sister, exactly. And for me, it's been hard to find what you are here in Florida. So because it's so rare to find women like that over here. And when you do find them, they're usually like, you know, hey, have a husband. so yeah, I feel you on that energy right there. Sorry, not that. Go ahead. I just wanted to state that.
You know what, Brother Byron and Tasha hit on something that was really important. Tasha, being in the beauty industry, I found, especially when I had my daughter, I find it very difficult to find any salon that even does natural hair. You know, in my location, like I would have to travel to another state just to find someone who can even who even knows how to do natural hair. And so even when, you know, Brother Byron said something about the standard in Nigeria, I know there's a web series on, it's really good, I think it's called An African City, where this Nigerian woman who pretty much got her education and everything in the West and then comes back home, and she has natural hair. And even in Nigeria, like she was complaining, like you can't find any salon, even in Nigeria, who does natural hair. And in the series, she was even getting flack from her mother about her hair. Like, what are you going to do with this mess? Like, you need to wear a wig or straighten it or something. So it's like everywhere, like it's hard to even find someone who even knows how to do natural hair. Do you have that issue in your area?
Definitely, but that's a plus for me because I'm about to set up shop down here. Because what I'm finding is especially when I'm going places like the grocery store or the farmer's market or even the mall, and my hair is not wrapped. Like right now I'm wearing my hair wrapped a lot because I'm growing my hair out. I'm not getting it cut anymore. So I'm trying to grow it out. But when I wear my hair out and it's natural, and especially when I colored my hair like a deep violet purple, but it was a short cut, I got so many women of color coming up to me. How did you do that? What did you do? I want to go natural, or I'm in the process of going natural, but I don't know what to do with my hair. And I don't know where to go for maintenance.
Right.
And I'm like, damn it, I got the jackpot. I'm about to blow up. Yes, you come to me, I got you. That's 90% of my clientele. 10% of my clientele are white women who didn't want to take a chance on me because they didn't think I could do their hair. So I have a pretty versatile resume when it comes to hair, but what I'm finding is a lot of us want to go natural or they're in that transitional phase, but like you said, there's nowhere to go, at least down here in the South. Now back home in Baltimore where I'm from, you got a natural hair shop on every corner like liquor stores.
Wow.
You know, it's abundant. And even if you can't find a shop, you know somebody who can throw some braids in your hair, give you some two-strand twists, or give you some oil that they made out of their kitchen to, you know, keep your scalp from being dry or anything like that. That's the culture up there. So it's no problem. But down here, it's like finding a unicorn.
Right.
No one has anywhere to go. Yeah. So it's like, I'm definitely in the right place, but it's just getting them to, one, be comfortable with themselves. They want, and most of my clientele, they want to go natural, or they're in the phases of doing it only because their hair is damaged from the chemicals.
Mm-hmm.
I can count on my hand how many women I've met and said, you know, I just want to be me. It's hardly ever that. It's just my hair has broken off. It's thin. It's dry. It's brittle. I can't get any more perm. So I don't have a choice but to go natural. And now I have to nurse their hair back to health.
Yeah.
So again, still to go back to your original question, it's not even a spiritual awakening. It's just I'm about to be bald.
Right.
So I gotta try the alternative.
Exactly. And you know what? It's so funny you say that, because I find that, you know, like you said, most of the time women come to this when when their health is deteriorated. You know, when they're really sick, or I found that especially like people dealing with cancer or something, where they're forced to not put the chemical in. And so on their deathbed, they're now forced to go natural. And even still then, you still see them, wearing wigs. So it's like something that we're just holding on to until death. We just don't want to look that way. I'm going to try to bring in another caller and see if they can hear me now. 615. You're on
yes, I'm
Community
here.
Radio. Peace. How are you?
Good. Thank you. Sorry I did have it on mute the first time.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I just really wanted to say that I was just looking up beauty in the dictionary, and how it was saying that it's the quality attributed to whatever pleases or satisfies the senses or mind, as by line, color, form, texture, proportion, rhythmic, motion, tone, and etc. And so it's really kind of like a combination of what everybody is saying all together. It's pretty much. Like I heard somebody talk about, like even concerning the energy that we would hold, because like for one, I've begun to exercise, not because of the fact that I'm trying to really please other people, but because of the fact that I learned that fat is pretty much stored up energy, and I want my energy back. And then I did grow up. My grandmother would tell me this story. She's told me for years that as when I was 5 years old, that my hair was so thick that they took me to castor knots, and there was this white lady that sat me down and combed my hair, and it was down my back, and that excuse me, I apologize. And that the hair went down my back, and then they decided they were going to put a perm in my hair, and they put a perm in my hair at the age of 5. And then when I decided to go natural as an adult, everybody was like, "Oh Lord, what are you going to do? You going to put a perm in your hair?" And when I decided that I would like to try to embrace my just and see what it would feel like just to go without makeup, she ordered me makeup from New York. And I was just like, ooh, go get some of my lipstick. My family is pretty much like that. They don't really embrace natural to that degree. So I pretty much had to get used to wearing makeup. At one point in time, I loved it a lot growing up, but I mean, I actually did an experiment with it just to see what would happen, just going in different places, what happens when I don't wear it. What happens when I do? How do they react? And I noticed a big difference. Like sometimes I would get overlooked, or maybe even sometimes somebody might want to follow me through the store just because I didn't have makeup on. But then, I could literally go back with my makeup, and I know how to do makeup because I'm in the beauty industry too, and then go in there, and then all of a sudden, oh, hi, how you doing? How can I help you? And everything. So then it's kind of like with that, I heard another guy say something that it's about the status, of course. So there are times where I will do my makeup up just because of the fact that I understand that I represent my brand, so I have to. But then, I have my days where sometimes I just want to feel the wind against my skin. And you can't feel the wind against your skin when you got all the makeup on, and but yeah, and then there's Also, there's an ancient proverb that says that charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting, meaning that it eventually passes away. So, like if a person gets caught up in what other people are thinking and they're doing it just to get other people's attention per se, what does it profit a man to gain the whole world but to lose their soul over it? So and that's not going to last. So it's all about that person being comfortable in their own skin. I think everybody has some really great things to say, and I agree with everybody.
Thank you for your comment. Another person that's in the beauty industry, and I'd like to, for you and for Sister Tasha, I wanted to pose another question. I've seen a lot of, with everyone going natural and everything, a lot of, I guess, Facebook, Instagram pictures, where they put up these pictures of different African women from different countries. And they're saying, how beautiful they are and all this kind of stuff. But I noticed that the image that they put up is always of an African woman that doesn't necessarily look African. She still has a lot of European kind of features. Her lips aren't too big, but they're, kind of full, but not, not very big. She has, like the almond-shaped eyes. And long hair, like, Ethiopians have long, straight hair or curly hair. It's still this thing where, they're African, but they're not too African. And I even find that, like, even coming into spirituality, a lot of people gravitate towards, like, Egyptian theology, because when they look at the hieroglyphs or when they study it, it's like, they're African, but they don't look like that African. You don't see, like, dark-skinned Egyptians. You don't see, like, very African-looking, people where they look very different. It's still this standard of, they're black, but they have long hair. Or they're black, but their lips aren't that big. They're black, but, their eyes are still kind of, have this, like, Asian or, almond shape. They're black, but they're not big and fat. Or, so there's still this thing where we're putting up these pictures saying that black is beautiful, but it's still just that standard of they're black, but they don't look that black. You know what I mean?
That's what I call the safe African.
Mm-hmm.
That's that, I'm exotic.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But I'm not original.
Right.
I'm not that original black. Because, again, it's uncomfortable. Last Saturday, I'm in class. I had my hair wrapped. Not the first time I've gone to class with a hair wrap on. This white girl comes up to me, all bubbly, young white girl. You look just like Aunt Jemima. I was like, no. I had to snatch it back. Like, to the point where
those are fight words.
Okay. I had to finish up with my client and leave because I was like, one, I don't feel like going and giving you a history lesson, little girl. I don't have time for that. Number two, I'm tired of people just having diarrhea of the mouth and just saying whatever they feel like saying to us. Mm-hmm. And then you get offended because we're offended. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's got to stop. And so I think for us, again, nobody wants to go through that. Nobody wants to feel that rejection. I'm a little tougher now. I've been natural. I shaved my head off when I was 16, and I haven't looked back since. I'll be 40 in January. So I done heard it all. I done heard the I'm pretty for a dark-skinned girl. I've heard, oh, your locks are so long and pretty. You would look even better if you had all that hair and it was straight.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've heard any and everything. so, again, they're putting out there that, again, the standard of beauty is it's African, it's black, but you can't be big, you can't be too black. You have to have that mixed look still.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Or what I'm seeing on social media is, yeah, she's midnight black. She may even be bald or have short hair, but she's naked. She's completely naked, you know. So now I'm sexy.
Right.
I'm not just beautiful. I'm not regal. I'm sexy because I'm out here literally ass out with a spear in my hand or something like that. And bam, there you go. We accept you. As long as you're naked, you know, or you can be, you know, kind of brown caramel color with a, you know, natural weave, you know, your Brazilian yaki in the hair, you know. You know what I'm talking about? You know, it has to be that. It can't be just, I'm just a beautiful black woman.
Right.
And I'm out here being me. I'm being my 100% natural self. No additives, no preservatives. This is it. I got stretch marks. I got cellulite. I got big hips. My legs are hairy right now. I didn't shave. Why? I don't feel like it. Who cares? My husband likes me just like this. He hates when I put on makeup. He hates when I put any type of extension in my hair, even if it's like a natural, like a kinky weave or something. Get out of here. Get that out of your hair. You know, that's not how I met you.
Well, let me ask you this, Tasha. Why, when she said you look like Aunt Jemima, did it bother you so much? Is it because of what you said, or is it because you did not want to be compared to this big black woman? Because you know, that kind of stings a little bit still. I think we're still even uncomfortable with her image of you know, being this big black woman. And it kind of boils down to like what you said, like if you're not midnight black, you know, you're pretty. And it kind of goes back to the good hair, bad hair, light skin, dark skin thing too, where you know, if you're pitch black and bald or whatever, you're exotic and like you're this wild sexual beast or something. But to be pretty, you have to be lighter, you know, have less African features.
Yeah, I think it stung me because of the image of Aunt Jemima. I'm thinking she's saying I look like a slave. You know what I mean? Because she turned around and the other white girl was like, yeah, you look like you should be cooking something.
Wow.
What?
Yeah, servant.
Girl, when I said I had to get out of there, it was like, I'm about to get put out to school. I'm about to get put out. So to me, it was like, you're associating my headdress, which, first of all, you don't even know why I got this on my head. You don't know if it's for religious reasons. I could have just fed my head, and I'm covering it right now. You have no idea. And that's all you can think to say about it. If you like it, say you like it. I know it's bomb. I know I look good. You know what I'm saying? Say that. Or don't say nothing at all.
Yeah.
But you going to come with, I look like Aunt Jemima and I should be cooking? Excuse me?
Yeah.
So, I was like, I think she was trying to compare me to this servant, this, you know, I don't have a problem with Aunt Jemima being big or black. You take that slave scarf off of her and the slave attire, she probably was a beautiful woman. I know she was a beautiful woman. But you put that imagery out there, and that's offensive to me.
You know, it's interesting that you bring up Aunt Jemima because even now, Aunt Jemima's got a perm. She's got pearl earrings. You know, they've even changed Aunt Jemima to look less African, or so to speak. I'm going to bring in another call. This is 615. Greetings. Hedrick, are you there?
Greetings.
Okay.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
I remember you was talking about how do brothers have to deal with the image issue thing, and I understand completely what the sister with the head wrap feel like about the Aunt Jemima stuff. Like she slick took a shot at her because she could have reminded her of a mammy that she had. Oh, that's my mammy. She used to cook for me and everything else. So she slick fired a shot. But, as a large black man with locks, I have to be conscious of if I'm scaring people or not. Because for some odd reason, they associate big, large black men with locks with three things. You just got out, you some type of athlete, or you some type of, revolutionary or whatever. So black men have to deal with that more so than what people realize, because it's just something as simple as going to get a job. You got to make sure you don't scare the person that's interviewing you. You have to think about that. Like when you get pulled over, what do I got on? Do I got on a tank top and some shorts? Do I have on a collar shirt and some jeans? In case I get pulled out, will I get stereotyped as soon as he see me? Is that type of stuff that black men have to deal with.
Yeah, even when it comes to, like we were talking about once before, police brutality and things, it's like as soon as they, like Eric Garner, it's like as soon as they see a tall or a big black man, it's instantly, they feel completely threatened, Even when it comes to our spiritual leaders, like we can, or our, like you said, revolutionary leaders, like we can take them a little bit more. They're a little bit more tasteful if they don't look as African. You know what I mean? If they don't look like that big black dude. Like the speech that what's the guy's name? Jesse somebody made at an award show. He's this
Jesse Williams.
Yeah, he's this mixed guy with, green or blue eyes or whatever he has. And, he's speaking up. But how powerful or effective would it have been if it was his complete opposite, like a big black guy? You know what I'm saying?
Like David Banner.
Or someone like that. Like, how would we have taken the message then? Like, everybody stood up and applauded and everything when he spoke. But I noticed that when it's someone like Khalid Muhammad, speaking, like we kind of steer away from him. We may secretly agree with what he says, but it's like, wait a minute now, you scaring the white people. We can't really get behind you. You gotta look, you can't look too African. You look just a little bit too much. You're too black.
Can I interject?
Yes.
I think that we have to realize that no matter what, they're still scared. No matter if you're light or dark, big or small, they're still scared.
I mean, I guess you can say that, but a prime example of, and this is personal experience. Like I said, it's been a couple times where, cause I used to work with dogs, and no one would expect me. Just imagine how those European people would look when I would come in. I come from the back with a little Chihuahua, 6'2", 260 something. They you would think that I just choked their dog, just off of size alone. And another example of that is when Kendrick Lamar did his performance at the Grammys, and just the look on their face, it's that same look of terror. Like, what are you doing back here? Give me my dog so you won't crush him. Like that's the thing that black men have to be conscious of. Like, are you really scaring people? Like when you do stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then back to what Sister Kim was saying about why is it that we are projecting all the spirituality, but yet we still not getting it, because you can't bottle it up and sell it. You can't bottle up and sell discipline. You can't bottle up and sell confidence. But I can bottle up and sell you some mascara. I can sell you some weed. I can sell you some motor oil to pull in your muscles. I can sell you some steroids to make you look bigger than what you are. So we have to realize that we're in a consumer-based economy that's pimping us based off our insecurities as black people. Because you can't sell all that stuff to certain people because they don't want to look like that. They don't feel like they need it. But if you know you got a group of people who morale is low, who morale is low, and they know that they can sell them things to make them look quote unquote better than what they actually do, then you become a target. And that's why us as black people, and as far as sisters in the beauty industry, we got to start setting new standards, so we won't be constant victims of that systematic pimping based off of our insecurities. Like you said, like, was Mammy ugly to you, or was it the fact that Mammy was ugly, or was it the fact that she called you look like a slave? Is that mentality we're gonna have to get out of if we're gonna start changing this? But that's really what it is. You can't sell nobody self-worth. But I can sell you some MAC makeup and some Gucci flip-flops.
Mhm. Yeah.
So what Brother Dietrich's talking about is that sickness. And that sickness is what's really killing us both, male and female. Is that the women continue to do the things that they do because they think the men are actually enjoying the things that they're doing. And the men are like, we don't want to deal with that, but then we're following where the women go. Because wherever the women go, usually the men go. So if the women are consistently putting on wigs and weaves and stuff, we're dealing with that because that's what we think we need to go. And it's just it's a revolving 360 sickness that's inside of our community. And every time we go about it, every time we go into that dating scene or look at each other, we're approached by that one sickness. Garbage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But you know what? Again, I have to play devil's advocate a little bit. I've also seen groups on YouTube, again, social media and things, where you have a lot of women who are deciding to go natural and to kind of embrace themselves a little bit more. But then you have little pockets of black men who have created groups and things around, I feel you on that natural stuff, but you got to do something with that hair. They're tired of the head wraps. They're tired of the natural hair. Okay, someone's mic is like really picking up a lot of background noise. They're kind of they're expressing, a level of disgust with it. So do you think it's an issue of actually being, not looking so African or not looking so black, or is it an issue of just like women taking on this look to kind of just be a little lazy and slack with it? Because you can, style your hair. Our hair is very versatile. So there are things that you can do, to the hair. But sometimes I find that a lot of people that have locks or natural don't really take care of their hair very well. Their locks are dirty, or their natural is just kind of, unkept. Do you think it's that? What exactly are they disgusted over? Because they're like, that's cool, but you got to do something about that. Like we're a little sick of the natural movement.
My husband is sick of the natural movement. My husband does not like my hair, but I still rock it anyway. Oh, I'm sorry. I think the thing's turned around. I said my husband, he's sick of the natural movement. He does not like my hair. He doesn't like it at all. But I still do it anyway because I said I have to be me. And I can't be any. I have tried, and it doesn't work being someone else. It works being me. So I just do it anyway, in spite of it. When I do straighten my hair, that's when I might get a compliment.
Wow.
He will not say it.
So what do you think it is?
Go ahead.
Oh, he likes that look.
Well, okay,
wow.
When he met me, let's say this, when he met me in the 90s, I had short hair. The short pixie look was in. That's when he met me. And when we got married, his friend, a Hispanic guy, said, "Oh, you know, Crystal hair looks really nice today. Doesn't her hair look nice?" And my husband says, "I like long hair." And I'm thinking, what? When you met me, I had short hair. I never really had long hair. Weave is something that is, it doesn't look natural to me on me. I don't like it on me. I have tried it. I don't like it, so, you know, I stay away from it. But I like my hair. I like it. But he doesn't, so, you know, I'm like, whatever. Either it's growing, you know, so since he likes long hair, it's growing. It's past the shoulder, so are you not happy now?
So does he like it better now that it's long? Is it the length or is it the fact that it's natural?
I think it's both. He doesn't like the natural, but yes, he likes the length of it now.
Do you find that it creates problems in your marriage, or do you feel less secure because you don't look like what he thinks is beautiful?
No. Okay. I have learned a long time ago that I'm going to be me. You either like it or love it or leave it. And it doesn't matter who he is, who he may be. You either going to love it or leave it. If you don't, well, you know, it's fine. I can't control you. The only person I have control of is myself. And so I have to be, you know, I've told myself I have to be secure within me, period. You know, it doesn't matter if it's hair, if it's clothes, whatever. I have to be secure within myself. If it's another woman, I have to be secure with myself if I'm around other women and, you know, and he's looking. I know my husband looks at other women. He's a man, and I don't have an issue with that. Now, if he... I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, not to cut you off, but I had to stand up for that one. Not every man has to look at other women. Yes, women are beautiful, but there's one thing about being in a bind, in a unity where you're actually sharing something. I'm sorry, I got a weird vibe off that last statement. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry. Well, let me explain. What I mean by that is, if we're walking down the street and a beautiful woman is coming our way, and we're walking together, I see her, I think she's beautiful. Why would I think he wouldn't think the same? If she is, she is, and I'm not taking away from her. But what I'm saying is, within myself, I have to be secure enough in myself to say I'm beautiful also.
True.
And keep it pushing. I don't worry about him looking at her and thinking she's beautiful. I don't have time for that. We got to keep it going because he's still coming home with me at nighttime. He's still going to be here. He's still paying for my lifestyle. So why am I worried about her? I'm just saying, I'm just acknowledging that he may be attracted to someone else because I'm thinking, I think the same. I think she's pretty. I think he's a handsome guy. We're people. We're human. We are attracted to other people besides our spouse. But when everything's said and done, we must come back home and be a family. So I'm not worried about other people in that way. That's what I mean. I hope I explained that right.
Okay, so you guys really conduct your marriage as a real, semi-business relationship to a certain degree. You guys have a contract that you guys are going to have this family. You're going to raise this family. And, yes, you do care, and you have feelings towards each other, but it's weird to me that your husband wouldn't look at you and admire you. That's hard for me to take in. So.
I think he thinks that if he says something, well, first of all, he doesn't give me compliments, period, really. Every now and then I might get one. I've gotten one, I think, this year. And what it is I think he thinks that I'm going to get a big head. My head is going to swell if he compliments. But that's not my personality. My head is not going to be, I'm the running around here, thinking I'm that, because we all have insecurities of our own. It'll never be that big. You can't blow it up.
Let's reverse it. Do you compliment your husband?
I do, not as often as I should, but I have. I do. Because he dresses up when he goes to work. I tell him he looks nice. When he gets a haircut, I like the haircut. I like your food, because my husband is a good cook.
Okay. What about his arms? You see, most guys most girls like guys' arms. So what about his arms? You compliment his arms?
No.
See, that's where you're failing.
That is the solution. Forget the natural hair and all that kind of stuff. It's all about the arms.
It's all about the arms, yeah. It's all about the arms.
I'm gonna try it for a month. How about that? And then I'll tell you what happens.
Hopefully it works out for the benefit.
Okay, so there you have it. When it comes to men, it's all about the arms. I just want to say thank you all for participating in the conversation today. We've actually gone into archives, so the show ended a little earlier, a few minutes ago. But again, just thank you for participating and thank you for contributing to the conversation. And we will be back again on Thursday with another topic. And before I get off, I'd just like to ask, do any of you have a topic in particular that you would like to cover? I'll let you pick the topic.
Our 62-day fast.
A 62-day fast?
Yeah, I got 3 more cigars and got to finish up, and it's starting mine on the 21st tomorrow.
Wow, 62 days.
That's what Chief. Hey, if you guys are paying attention to the last show Chief did, he's talking about a 62-day fast of something that you do all the time. If you want to step out the state, get rid of something that you do for every day. And fast off that for 62 days. So
okay,
cigars is gonna be mine.
All right, we'll pick that topic up. Fasting and trying to get rid of certain things that we rely on in life. So we'll talk about that on Thursday. I'll be looking for you to lead that conversation.
Okay. Tomorrow's my first day, so let me see how I'm looking. I might be real crazy on Thursday. I just need a cigar.
Okay.
Give me a cigar, damn it. All right, y'all.
All right. Thank you all. We'll be back on Thursday, same time, 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern. Enjoy your day. Peace.
Bye-bye.
Well,